Masquera say Zimbabwe, welcome to our channel Zim Confessions and Deep Secrets. Kana kariki kutanga kukuya paneno channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Kana uchingwa garoka subscriber. Don't forget to comment and share this video on Masquera Zimbabwe taki grainya buditswa na the former finance minister wa Tendai Biti Buda which criticized the 2025 national budget yakapresentwa na Mthuli Ncube msho Wednesday which describe as shadow, dishonest and out of touch muri Zimbabwe nema needs yavanhu Kabudo comment on his ex handle vachiti this budget reflect incompetence and corruption the administration ya President Mnangagwa wakaenda zvakare vachicriticize proposed tax measures vachitaura ivo vachiti haana tsitsi nema-vulnerable sectors taura zvakare vachiti this budget rakafaila kuaddressa pressing issues are critical sekunetsa kuri kuita magetsi muri Zimbabwe. Nyaya yakabuditswa the Pendula News vachitaura ivo vachiti former finance minister Tendai Biti has criticized the 2025 national budget presented by Mthuli Ncube on Thursday, describing it as shallow, dishonest and out of touch with the needs of the people. In a post on X, Biti said that the budget reflects the incompetence and corruption of President Mnangagwa's administration. He further criticized the proposed tax measures, claiming they show a lack of empathy and disproportionately target the vulnerable sectors. Biti also urged that the budget fails to address the pressing issue of critical energy shortages. He wrote, the 2024 budget statement was presented in the backdrop of a tough and challenging year for the working people of Zimbabwe, a year in which the citizen had been abused by extreme levels of inflation, emasculation by a rigged exchange rate, extortionate taxes, power shortages, poverty, and the aftermath of a scorching drought. Naively, the citizens and business thus happened for a bold, honest, decisive, technically sound budget that would address the critical challenges of the day and offer hope for catharsis to a broken, fatalistic, desperate population. Regrettably, Minister Ncube's budget was nothing but a shallow, hollow, narcissistic, dishonest, anti-people ritual. The budget correctly bluetooths everything cataleptic about the Mnangagwa regime: incompetence, ideologically vacacious, corrupt, insensitive, vicious, and toxic. 7 issues amplify the fatality of Mthuli project. First is the clear failure to calibrate the budget in dollars. In a volatile high inflation environment, expressing the budget in a local currency ravaged by serious inflation pressures is clearly a false pass. Zim has gone through 6 bouts of currency failures, and any budget expressed in a local currency is a facade. A volatile zig also creates accounting chaos for businesses. Ultimately, a zig-based budget is simply a means to hide and mislead the true depth of economic mismanagement. Second, Mr. Ncube's microeconomic framework and projections are simply unsound and blatantly dishonest. A 2% GDP growth for 2024 is simply overstated. It underestimates the zig-induced depression that has captured markets since 5 April 2024, a period that has seen many companies close or downsize. There has been a massive curtailment of revenue inflows in companies and in the government itself. Aggregate demand simply collapsed, resulting in government revenue also collapsing to the point that at the present moment, the regime has no capacity to pay wages. The budget projection of a 6% growth in 2025 is gross. It is based on 3 assumptions: these decent rainfall, low inflation, and a stable currency, and a tight fiscal and monetary policy. Expecting this government to live within its means and to keep a tight fiscal ship is madness. The regime must monetize its rent-seeking projects, particularly the feeding trough that road construction has become. Particularly, command agriculture and multiple presidential schemes Once the boys are paid, broad money shoots through the roof. Inflation spikes and Zig falls. Third, the 2025 budget framework is unsound and must be rejected by Parliament. In 2024, 110 billion Zig in revenue will be collected against 109 billion Zig, resulting in deficit 9.3 billion. They don't sing about surpluses anymore. In 2025, projected revenue jumped to 276 billion or 7.5 billion US dollars, while least expenditure in Zig is 276 billion or 7.6 billion, or a growth of 6%. It eludes one's wisdom how revenue will grow by 150% from 110 billion in Zig to 276 billion Zig. Put another way, Mr. Ncube expects 2004 revenues of 110 billion Zig or 3 billion US dollars to jump to 7.5 billion. This mendacity reflects disrespect for Zimbabwean intellect. More than that, reflects total and utter contempt of Parliament. But the real issue is where will Mr. Ncube extracted 7.5 billion when companies have been squeezed dry and closing down, trenching or relocating. Fourth, the regime proposed revenue measures are narcissistic and lack empathy, imposing taxes on betting income, on pizza and chicken is ridiculous. Targeting informal traders in spare parts dealers, groceries, hardware, lodges, fabric merchandisers, and boutiques for taxation is cruel and ridiculous. The regime suffers from a warped view that it can extract money from stone. The pathological obsession with taxation is sickening. There's a crisis of under-accumulation in Zimbabwe. Companies are shutting down and unemployment is on the rise. The 2025 budget had a duty to create a stimulus and to provide incentives for consumption and production to jumpstart the economy. Taxes had to be reduced, various stimuli provided. Instead, a vacacious bankrupt government went the opposite of what logic dictated. 6. There had to be a push for currency reform. Zig has failed and failed in absolute terms. The epicenter of the Zim crisis is exchange rate mismanagement. Finally, given the currency structural energy crisis, the budget ought to have addressed the power situation. Indeed, it is ridiculous to imagine the economy will grow by 6% without power. No wonder Zesa went off during the budget presentation. Truth is, this is the worst government in the history of governments, and the 2025 budget is further exhibit of this fact. Ndonyakabudzwa na Tendai Biti mu Zimbabwe. Tikazoti sei nyaya iyi munoronga sei budget rakabudzwa na Tendai Biti, tudzezwa mukufunga mu comment section.